start now with our Wednesday wellness session, and then we will give opportunity for questions at the end. So I'm going to just welcome everyone to our second NMU Wellness Wednesday. My name is Wilmarie Joubert. I'm a Tempo Wellness Coordinator for Bestmed. We are proud to be hosting these Wellness Wednesday sessions in collaboration with the NMU Wellness Days that's currently taking place. Please remember to ask your colleagues to please join our Wellness Wednesday sessions. We have 2 more booked for you for this year, and they also then stand a chance to win a prize. We encourage all our participants to please ask a question using the chat box, and I will relay them to our speaker. If you have any other questions related to Tempo, please email us at tempo@bestmed.co.za. So let me introduce our speaker to you. Okay, her name is Aneska Habig. She is a registered biokeneticist since 2021, and she's working in private practice to improve corporate and overall wellness, assisting in sport and post-operative rehabilitation, and she's helping special populations, including children, elderly, chronic disease patients, to enhance their quality of life. She is passionate about improving patients' overall health and well-being through achievable and sustainable exercise programs and lifestyle changes. Thank you, Aneska. We are really looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. As she said now, I am a biokineticist, but I'm sure this is a somewhat foreign term to most of you. So I'd just like to say something more about that. No, we are not the same as a physiotherapist. So the whole point of biokinetics is improving people's physical functioning through exercise by prescribing exercise programs to them to help improve their overall health and well-being. So I've been asked to talk to you guys today about why walking is important in our daily routine. So given my profession, this is a very important topic to me, and I'm very passionate about sharing it with you guys. So firstly, of course, these days we all sit a lot, right? We have what is known as a sedentary lifestyle. We sit all day in our cars to and from work. We sit at the dining table. We sit on our couch watching television every day. And this is extremely dangerous. A sedentary lifestyle is so dangerous because it increases all causes of mortality. It doubles our risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and obesity, and increases our risk of things like colon cancer, high blood pressure, cholesterol, osteoporosis, depression, and anxiety. Interestingly, a Danish twin study found that people getting older, or how old they get, is actually related only 20% to their genetics. The other 80% is actually related to their lifestyle. So the big question here is, what do we do, or what should we do in order to be healthier? And the simple answer here is walking. So why walking? Walking has so many benefits for us. So just naming a few, the first thing is it improves our overall sleep, stress, and mood, right? So if you walk regularly, it helps us by secreting our endorphins that makes us feel more relaxed. It improves our overall health and well-being by improving our mood, reducing our stress levels. It also helps our brain function. So interestingly, walking can even reduce the risk of cognitive decline, which is very important, especially these days. Specific study actually found that walking more than 4,000 steps might actually reduce the decline in your brain health and improve the health of areas responsible for memory, learning, or cognitive functioning, much better in the people who were walking than those who are not. A nice one to know about is actually walking improving our digestive system. So if you walk, it stimulates our intestines and our stomach and all of those things, which helps the food speed up throughout this digestive system. It also boosts our immune system, which is super important these days. Knowing that stress can also reduce our immune system, having something that can counteract that is so important. So research found that people who tend to walk more generally get sick less often. And if they do get sick, they recover quicker from being ill. It also, of course, burns calories. So if you walk more, you burn more calories, you are more likely to lose a bit of weight if that is something you are concerned about. Then a very important one is our heart health and chronic disorders. So if you walk regularly, it reduces our risk of all cardiovascular diseases. It helps lower depression, sleep apnea, acid reflux, diabetes, high cholesterol, and hypertension, which are things that are all on the increase or on the rise these days. Another thing that is really interesting these days that people are very concerned about are their varicose veins. So if we walk regularly, it improves our circulation, and more or better circulation prevents blood from pooling or from backing up and putting excess pressure on the tiny valves inside of our veins. So if you walk more, this is less likely to happen. An important one here is our joint pain. A lot of people suffering from arthritis might actually stay away from walking because their body is painful. But if we walk more, it can actually reduce the pain because you can think about our joints as sponges. So our joints don't rely on blood flow to increase our overall health of the joints, but rather on joint fluid inside of it. So thinking about a sponge, if pressure is applied to the joint, then the fluids are squeezed out and the waste products are going out along with it. If the pressure is relieved, then fluids are sucked up back into the joint along with the good nutrients that we need to keep our joints healthy. And finally, here, our bone density is also improved if we walk because walking improves our bone density through weight-bearing exercise. If we do any kind of weight-bearing exercise, it will put stress on the bones to make them stronger and therefore increase our bone density. All right, so overall, the bottom line is if we exercise more, we will suffer less and live longer. Right, so a great example of this are the people in the blue zone. So the 5 blue zones we have are Nuora province in Sardinia in Italy, the Okinawa prefecture in Japan, Loma Linda, California, United States, Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, and Ikaria in Greece. Generally, these people just have a lot longer life expectancy. They reach the age of 100 about 10 times greater rate than the people in the US do. And they attribute this longevity mostly to just moving naturally. These people do not go to the gyms, they don't pump iron, they don't run marathons or any of those things. They just walk a lot. They don't have cars or they don't use cars quite as often. So specifically in Sardinia, it is home to the world's longest lived men. They are a community of shepherds who walk at least 5 mountainous miles every single day. And of course, this gives them the necessary cardiovascular benefits that you would expect. It also improves their metabolism in terms of muscles and bones as well. So these people are very healthy. Then in Okinawa in Japan, the women are generally living longer. They have these groups where they get together every single day. And if one of the group members don't show up for their session on that day, the whole group will walk across the village to go and see if their friend is okay. So the important part to notice here is that they walk to their friends. They don't phone them, they don't text them, they don't call an Uber or drive there themselves, but instead they just walk across the village to go and check up on a friend. In Loma Linda, the people are very active, even into their late 90s, and they outlive the average American by a decade. In Nicoya, those people are very active, of course, but they spend about only 15% of what Americans do on healthcare, yet they are double as likely to reach a healthy age, such as 90. So in Ikaria, in Greece, we find people who generally live about at least 8 years longer than Americans do. They plant their own vegetables, they tend their gardens, they harvest everything, all of that without specialized equipment. They experience about 20% less cancer, half the rate of heart disease, and almost no dementia. So overall, the Blue Zone centenarians are highly active people who continue to do consistent exercise or movement specifically every day. They don't do much structured exercise with the purpose of exercising, but just their lifestyle nudging them in the direction of doing some physical work to the extent that they don't need actual exercise. So this is very impressive, and I know we all think it would be nice if we could live in an area where that would be a possibility, but I know you're also thinking their lifestyles are just so different to what we are doing every single day that there's just no way we can do what they are doing, and we just don't have the time to do all of this. But the good news is that you do not have to go and spend hours in the gym or run 5 to 10 kilometers every day to improve your health. Instead, experts suggest that if we just take a few minutes break from our seat when we're at our desk during the day, just moving a little bit, taking that break can break the pattern of being sedentary, which is all we really need. It is important to remember that although it is advised that we get about 30 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity, cardiovascularly specifically, per day or at least 5 days a week, you don't need to get all 30 minutes in one go. Instead, if you just walk a few minutes here and there throughout the day, they just all accumulate. And by the end of the day, you would have walked your 30 minutes if you do all these little breaks throughout your day. For those of you thinking that this will actually reduce your productivity, rest assured that it will not. In fact, researchers suggest that taking a break from whatever it is that you're focused on to improve your circulation when you are doing a few movements is actually helping you be more focused when you get back to your desk. So if we're talking about our little breaks throughout our day, what are we doing during this time? Well, you can just get up from your chair, go to the bathroom, maybe walk to the kitchen, make yourself a cup of coffee, go and have a glass of water, maybe do some stretches to relieve some of that built up tension. You can also take little walks after each meal just to stabilize your blood glucose levels. We can walk to our co-workers rather than sending them a nitty-gritty little email. Maybe put an alarm on your cell phone to say, okay, it's time to get up and move now. Some of our smartwatches actually do this automatically. If you've been seated for an hour or so, they'll say, like, you've been sitting for a long time, it's time you move a bit. So listen to that thing and actually get up and just do a few movements, just walk here and there or do a few stretches in that time. Overall, if you can find a friend who maybe wants to move more with you, it's great to get them to do these things along with you. Just having a friend, making a team effort makes it more sustainable in the long run. The bottom line here is if you are able to walk there, try and do so. I'm not saying you must walk kilometers, but maybe don't take the parking right in front of the entrance. Maybe take a longer route to the entrance of the building. If you can climb the stairs, do so. Again, you don't have to go to the extremes where you're doing like 11 flights of stairs to go to the top of the building. But if there's a single flight of stairs, rather take that. It is better than not doing it at all. Okay, at home, it is also good to walk around while you're speaking on your cell phone, maybe. Otherwise, it's just time wasted sitting. Uh, if you have your whole family in the house, don't let them text each other from different rooms. So if somebody has something to say, they must come out of their room to come and say that to the person directly, instead of just lying on the bed texting everyone in the house. If you are watching TV, try and make it a productive time. Maybe move around doing, for example, the dishes or ironing the clothing for the next day or packing the kids' lunch boxes for the next day, something like that, just so that you're multitasking in that time. If it is possible, go for walks in your neighborhood if it's safe to do so. Again, it doesn't have to be very far, maybe just walking around the block now and again. And if you want to make it harder, more challenging, literally just make it faster. You don't have to waste extra time just walking longer distances or longer durations. Just make it faster, it'll increase your intensity. If you're able to do it, play with the kids, take them to the park on a weekend or play with them in the backyard, just to get that extra bit of movement in throughout your week. Remember, all of these small things accumulate throughout your day and they all add up to your physical activity without deliberately doing exercise. Now, knowing how important it is for us to move around and to get our walking in throughout the day, what can we do to be better at walking? Walking itself has two distinct phases, the stance phase and the swing phase. So in our stance phase, we are planted with both feet on the floor. Both are in contact with the ground, but then when we go into our swing phase, we put all of our balance from one leg onto the other so that the leg can swing past and take the next step. So during this part, our balance is actually something that's very important to prevent us from falling over. Of course, your balance gets more difficult if you are trying to lift your leg up high to step over an obstacle, such as a puddle of water, or maybe going up a step or something like that. But improving our balance is very important for our overall walking abilities, especially as we get older. Equally important is our flexibility. So it is very important to have good range of motion in our legs, especially when we're walking, to prevent us from having those short shuffle steps that we often see in the elderly people. If we want to have a good gait, that's what they call it. If you're walking, nice way, long strides, normal way of walking, you need good range of motion in your hips. So knowing how important these two are, what can we do to make them better? Firstly, our balance is an easy one to just incorporate into our daily routine. So, for example, in the mornings when you're brushing your teeth, you can just stand on your left leg, and then maybe at night when you're brushing your teeth, you just stand on your right leg. Or you can go half and half in the morning and night. It doesn't matter. But the point is, it doesn't cost you any extra time, and you improve a skill that is just so important for your overall health and well-being. In terms of flexibility, it is advised that we stretch every major muscle group at least once a day for most days of the week for about a minute per muscle group. So a wonderful time to do this is during those short breaks that you're taking at your desk every hour or so. When you're getting up, just do a few of the stretches just to loosen up some of your muscles and ensure that you stay a bit more mobile. So a good thing to think about is how many of you think that you're able to actually stand and balance on one leg at this point? Like if you imagine just standing on one leg now for a minute, do you think you would be able to do it without falling over? Do you think you are able to stand up straight, don't bend your knees, but actually reach your toes? See, those are things that people think are such random things, but they actually do translate into our daily living. Okay, so another aspect of our overall health and well-being that is very important is our posture. Now, this is something that people generally don't think about much until it causes them some problems. So then we start thinking, oh, but why am I having this kind of trouble? Right, so our spinal cord is surrounded by a string of blocks known as our vertebrae that have a very specific curve to them to support our body weight and to protect the nerves inside of them. So in this picture, you can see the right-hand side clearly shows that natural S-shaped curvature that we have. And if you look at the left-hand side, you can see how perfectly all of our vertebrae align from the top to the bottom if you're looking at the back. Now, if anything such as poor posture or any other thing disturb this position, putting us in any other position than this ideal straight line that or curvature that we're meant to have, this can cause problems in the long run. So in fact, it is not uncommon for office workers to have pains related to poor posture, and generally quite a few different ones. So just thinking about yourself or maybe someone you know, how many of you either suffer or know someone who suffers from lower back pain, or maybe really stiff neck muscles, or perhaps headaches? Those things are often related to our poor posture. So when we stand and we walk with our hips pushed forward, like you can see in the picture, second from the right, the blue one, the lordosis, you can see the hips or the lower back is pushed forward a lot, and that places a lot of stress on our lower back, especially because we have to now lean backwards with our upper body to kind of balance out our center of mass. So this puts a lot of stress on our lower or lumbar vertebrae, giving us that lower back pain. And in more advanced cases, we actually get people who are not able to walk well anymore because they have extreme pain shooting down from their back into the leg because of nerve impingement caused by those vertebral bodies that are in the lower back. Also, if we stand with our shoulders hunched forward, this pushes our back into a deep curvature at the top, like you can see in the kyphosis or the red picture second from the left. So this hunched over posture is like, for example, when you are reading a book, maybe you are working on your cell phone, or you are putting your arms on the trolley when you're walking in the shopping center or something like that. Any of these forward postures puts a lot of stress on our upper back muscles, shoulder blades, and our neck. So these cause that terrible knots that you get in the neck and then your upper back area, and also causes some headaches. But apart from just the pain that you get from these things, why are they bad for you in terms of walking? So this hunched over posture is known as kyphosis, or more commonly as a hunchback. So if we have this hunchback, this bent forward posture, this can displace all of our top body weight to the front, making us top heavy and more likely to fall over. So especially as we get older, older people actually end up falling a lot. And it's because they don't practice things that are related to our balance and our posture. And they all walk with these short shuffle steps. They have poor balance and then terrible posture. So you often see the elderly people walking with this hunched over posture. So ideally, we would just want to avoid that. So wanting to avoid this poor posture, where is a good place to start? A good place to start is looking at your office desk setup, right? So a lot of us sit, so this is a good place to start. This is actually where you spend most of your day, sitting in front of a computer in general. So if you are sitting a lot, a good way to start is thinking about the 90-90-degree principle. We want to move our bums all the way back in our chairs so that we can sit with our back straight up against the back of our chair. And then we need to adjust everything else according to how tall we are. So we need to make our chair either higher or lower, or our desk higher or lower, or also our screen, our desktop height needs to be at eye level so that everything is able to rest comfortably, just looking straight at the screen, not looking forward, down, or upwards, resting your elbows comfortably, not shrugged up to under your ears. All of that increases a lot of the tension here in your neck. So if you have a good posture where you're able to sit nicely, this will relieve some of that tension. Another new thing that came in recently is the standing desk that people have, because everyone now knows how dangerous the sedentary lifestyle is. They're trying to reduce the time people are spending sitting at their chairs. So now they give you a standing desk, which is great, but again, it poses some postural problems, right? We need to look at our posture, make sure that our hips are tucked in and that we're relaxing our shoulder muscles. And of course, the desk needs to be at the right height for the person using it. So if you are very short and you have to type on top of this computer, you're going to shrug your shoulders up, cause a lot of tension in your neck and in your shoulder muscles, and you're going to have a lot of pain going forward. You might also have a lot worse back pain if you are standing with your hips pushed forward. So you need to make sure you tuck your belly button in, squeeze your bum, and just stand nice up straight so that you don't put all of that strain on the lower lumbar vertebrae and cause yourself some lower back pain. So overall, just being more aware of your body's position in space during the day and correcting yourself when you notice being in the wrong posture with the hips forward, shoulders slouching, any of those things. Correct it, stand upright, pull in your belly button, just make sure that your hips are in a neutral position instead of pushing them forward. All of those things can help to relieve the pain of poor posture in the long run. So overall, the thing you need to take away from this, the bottom line really, is that sitting for prolonged periods of time is really detrimental to your overall health and well-being. So in order to try and prevent this, to reduce the risks associated with our sedentary lifestyle, we need to move more. And we do this by taking breaks from our chairs, our desks when we're sitting all day long, by maybe going and getting that glass of water, maybe taking a lap around the office, doing some stretches, or standing up maybe during a conference call, or performing other forms of physical activity during this time. Remember, You don't have to do all of this at once. They all add up in the long run. So just make sure you're moving frequently throughout the day rather than having to stress about getting in a workout either in an hour before you have to go to work or an hour after. I'm not saying those things are bad. Of course, there are many benefits to doing that, but small changes can really make a very big difference to our overall health. So, given the very clear benefits that are scientifically proven related to walking overall, not for our physical, but also our mental well being, it is very evident that we were made for walking and that we must continue to do so as much as possible for as long as possible. So you just need to remember you have a choice. Choose whether you're walking or crawling to your finish line. I know I choose to walk there, and I hope you will too. Thank you. Are there any questions for me?
Aneska, really, that was so informative. And one thing that really stood out to me was the importance of healthy habits, taking the stairs rather than just being lazy and taking the elevator. When it's a small steps, I can incorporate that into my daily living, and it in the end makes me healthier and it improves my well-being. Yes, Teresa, I see that you had your hand up there. Mpho, can we please unmute everyone and then they can. Teresa, you are unmuted. You can ask your question.
Hi, thanks. Good morning. Thanks for a very informative session. I love walking, I love running, I love being outdoors, but I have a desk job and that makes it very difficult. I'm one of those people that I preferably like to exercise in the morning before I come to work, but sometimes I can't do that. And in as much as I know you say that we have to get up during the day and get up, you get stuck in what you're doing, and before you know it, you've been sitting for 2 hours, 3 hours. But coming back, because I saw you had a chair and sitting, I see that with the models that you have there, that the chair actually reaches the shoulder. Is there anything wrong, or let me rather say, a chair that reaches up to your, like the height of your head, if I could put it that way, is that any, like when you sit back, it actually, your head actually rests against the chair, as opposed to a chair where your shoulders rest, like the height of the chair reaches your shoulders. Is there a difference between those two types of chairs?
Yeah, so the first thing, a lot of those chairs have, you will see people advertise different chairs as being ergonomical, which generally just means, it's better for your office overall working better for your posture, all of those things. But they have this deep scoop that you have in the lumbar vertebrae here at the bottom. And then a lot of them going up very high actually has this kind of pillow thing at the back, now resting your head against it. But similar to your car seat as well, it has that headrest. Now, a lot of them are actually too far forward. So if you have that, it is actually pushing your head into that forward neck posture. So if you have that, you're actually already stretching your neck muscles and putting them under excess stress. If it is backwards, you're leaning backwards, now you're actually doing this against your neck. So it's just not that neutral posture. That's why some people actually who are very focused on their posture tend to sit on just a stool that doesn't have a backrest, or maybe just you see some people sitting on those yoga balls or things like that. So you don't really need a backrest, but it just means you need to be more focused on your posture, pulling in your tummy, keeping everything nice and tight and your head supported, everything nice and in line so that you don't get that pain in your neck and your back muscles.
It would actually be great if, I don't know if Bestmed or if it's now NMM use the university's area of assistance, especially those of us that sit 24/7 at the desk, is if someone could maybe just come out and check that, we are sort of sitting correctly, that the chair height is correct, that like the mouse, because lots of us in our department are suffering from tennis elbow because you sit behind a laptop the entire day. And in as much as, you try and see, okay, I need to sit correctly, my arm reach need to be correct. You get involved in what you're doing, and before you know it, I'm speaking for myself. I'm sitting at the edge of my chair, hunched over. So that slide that you had now with the different spinal curvature was so informative. And I actually wanted to take a snip, but it was gone because I wanted to keep it as a screensaver, just to remind myself that that is how I need to sit.
We'll
But thank you
share
very much for that.
the recording and the presentation with you guys after the session.
Thank you very much.
Visha, I
And
think
what I wanted to ask was the shoes, because obviously walking and running requires different type of shoes. Does it matter?
If you're asking being an office worker, are stilettos good for you? The answer is no.
Yeah, no.
Okay, that would be really bad. Definitely not. For me, being a biokineticist, exercising, walking, and standing a lot, I'm in my techies, my running shoes, the whole day. If I'm not, or if I'm even wearing shoes that don't have the similar support at the bottom, my feet are killing me by the end of the day. But if you choose something that has a heel of any kind, if you must wear a heel, see if you can get something with maybe a wedge heel or a block heel that just gives a bit more support. But remember, the moment you increase the height of the heel, you're putting your weight on your toes, you're changing your whole posture throughout. Now your calf muscles are working. Now you're pushed forward, so now your quads need to work, the front of your thigh muscles. Now, because you are forward with your legs, you need to lean back again with your back muscles. So now you have lower back pain, and that's all just because of your shoes that you're wearing. So if you do have an option to have something that is somewhat tasteful looking along with your office wear, but not necessarily the worst heel that you can wear, that would be a good way to just start and get something that has a bit more support at the bottom.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Shoes for running and walking.
It depends how serious you are about it, right? If you're planning on running marathons and really big things in the future, then it's worth, investing in a good pair of running shoes. But there are other aspects also influencing these things. Remember, we all walk and have different kind of postures. So if our feet are maybe tilted inwards a little bit, then you need a shoe that has a lot of support in the bridge here at the bottom of your foot to help and just put it in a neutral position. Some of us actually have a more outward curvature of our foot, where these people are generally likely to twist their ankles by just walking funny, just quickly a change in direction or something, then they just twist their ankles. So your shoe needs to be related to your posture if this is something you're very serious about. If it's just generally going for a walk every now and again, go and get yourself some basic tackies just to get yourself started. If you start realizing this is something I'm truly passionate about, I enjoy either running or walking regularly, yes, then you can go and get yourself something a bit more supportive. It's not about the brand really, it's just getting one that's supporting your specific foot posture.
I see that you have your hand up. Louise, do you want to unmute?
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the informative session. I have two questions. Do I have to do a warm-up routine before I go for a walk? And secondly, what is the benefit of walking with hand weights and leg weights?
Okay, firstly, just a warm up. Normally, if you're just taking a slow walk, that is actually a good warm up in itself. Maybe just start walking slowly, and then as you feel your body temperature rising, when you feel like you want to maybe take off your jersey or something like that, you're warmed up now. Now you can start walking faster. But otherwise, if you do want to just have a few stretches beforehand, we would advise not doing what they call a static stretch. Static stretches is when you're literally standing with your foot on a rock or something and you're just leaning forward trying to reach your toes. Those type of things where you're just standing and holding the position are not what we need to warm up. You won't feel warm after that, but rather maybe walking and just swinging your leg front and back, or doing a few calf raises, just lifting your heels up and down, maybe just doing a few ankle pumps up and down with your feet. All of those things, just moving around a little bit just to loosen up, are good, but walking in itself is a good form of warming up, unless you just immediately start with like a speed walk. Then of course just start a bit slower before to make sure you're warmed up before you get into like a massive incline or a speed walk or something like that. sorry, just the second one was about weights, right? So that just makes it all harder. So if you're already struggling to get into it, don't start with weights. If you are happy walking already, you're walking however long distance, or you just feel comfortable with the distance you already have, but you want to make it harder, walking with weights are good to just increase the intensity. If the weights are on your hands or in your hands like little dumbbells, they are obviously going to do a little bit of a resistance training session on your arms if you are swinging your arms as you are walking. If you put the weights like those ankle weights that strap on around your ankles, they are going to give resistance to your legs. So your hip muscles, your quads, calf muscles, everything are going to work harder to try and lift the leg up and push it forward for that next step, and then lift up and push. So then it's resistance training more for your lower body. But overall, if you have it up in your hands, it just makes your whole body heavier. It would be as if you are weighing 2 kilos or 3 kilos more, or whatever the case may be. So that just makes more stress on your whole body to load the body more. So it's not a bad thing, but it's an advanced version of walking. So you can do that if you want to not maybe go longer or longer duration or a longer distance, or if you are already walking fast and you want to make it even harder, then you can add some weights.
Not for us as the beginners,
No.
those advanced people. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Aneska. Really, it was such an informative session. Everyone, if you have any more questions, please email us at at bestmed.co.za. And one of you is also winning a prize today. So thank you, Aneska, again, and have a great day, everyone. We will see you at the next NMU Wellness Day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.